She told me she loved me. She promised me forever. But when it came down to it, she didn't trust me. She trusted her mother. And when the truth finally came out, it was too late. The damage had been done, and my revenge, well, let's just say it was sweeter than I ever imagined. If you've ever been betrayed by someone who was supposed to stand by your side, hit that like button, subscribe, and get ready for one of the most infuriating yet satisfying revenge stories you'll ever hear. I'm 36 years old, and until recently, I was married to a woman named Emily. We were together for 7 years, married for 4. And to be honest, I thought we had a good life. Nothing extravagant, just a decent home, stable jobs, and plenty of love. Or at least, I thought so. But there was always her mother. From the very beginning, Emily's mom, Linda, was a shadow hanging over our relationship. She had an opinion on everything: how I dressed, how I decorated my house, how I spoke, even how much money I made. According to Linda, I was never good enough for her daughter. I brushed it off in the early days. I told myself, she'll come around. She just needs time. But deep down, I knew better. Linda didn't want Emily married to me. She wanted Emily to stay under her thumb forever. At first, Emily defended me. She'd tell her mom to back off, remind her that she loved me, and that I was a good man. But over time, that changed. Slowly, Linda's voice started creeping into our marriage. Little by little, Emily started doubting me. It began with small things. One evening, I came home late from work because I got stuck finishing a project. Emily looked upset. I asked what was wrong, and she said, "My mom thinks it's suspicious that you work late so often." I laughed at first, thinking she was joking. But she wasn't. She really believed her mom thought I might be lying about working. I reassured her, showed her emails and timestamps, even introduced her to some of my co-workers at a company event. But I could see it. The seed of doubt had been planted, and Linda kept watering it. She'd drop little comments when she came over. "Are you sure he's as loyal as he seems?" "Men say one thing and do another, honey." Don't be naive, Emily. You need to protect yourself. It was like poison dripping into our lives, and slowly, it was working. The breaking point came one Saturday afternoon. Emily and I were supposed to go house hunting. We'd been saving for a bigger place. I was excited. It felt like the next big step for us. But when I got home, instead of finding her ready to go, I found her sitting at the table with her arms crossed, her eyes cold. "What's wrong?" I asked. She didn't answer right away. Then she slid her phone across the table. On the screen was a photo. Me, at lunch with a coworker, a female coworker. We were sitting across from each other, laughing about something. That was it. Nothing more. "What is this?" she demanded, her voice shaking. I blinked. "That's Rachel. We work together. We grabbed lunch because we were both slammed and didn't have time to go separately." Her eyes narrowed. "My mom said you've been sneaking around. She said if I looked hard enough, I'd find proof. And here it is." I felt like someone had punched me in the gut. "Emily? Are you serious? This is a business lunch. That's all it is. I've told you about Rachel before." But she didn't want to hear it. Linda had gotten to her. Completely. By that evening, Emily was packing a bag. "I just need space," she said, her voice trembling. "I don't know what to believe right now. My mom says you're manipulating me, and I just don't know anymore." I stood there in shock, watching the woman I loved walk out the door, not because of anything I had done, but because her mother had decided to poison her against me. And in that moment, something inside me hardened. I had spent years trying to prove myself, trying to be the bigger man, trying to win over someone who never wanted me in the first place. But as I watched Emily leave, I realized something important. If she couldn't even stand by me against her mother's lies, then maybe she didn't deserve me at all. And that's when I started planning. The first night after she left was brutal. I sat on the couch, staring at the half-empty closet, the faint smell of her perfume still clinging to the air, and I couldn't wrap my head around it. I hadn't cheated. I hadn't lied. The only crime I committed was being married to a woman whose mother hated me. And the worst part? Emily didn't even give me the benefit of the doubt. I replayed everything in my head. Our vacations, the anniversary dinners, the promises we made. None of it mattered in the end. One photo, one poisonous whisper from her mother, and it all came crashing down. For days, she didn't call, she didn't text, nothing. The silence was deafening. Then, on the fifth night, I got a message. "I'm staying with my mom for a while. I need time to think." Time to think. I stared at those words until my vision blurred. She wasn't thinking. She was being manipulated. And deep down, I realized, if she really trusted me, she wouldn't need time. She'd already know the truth. The weeks that followed were a blur. I threw myself into work, stayed late at the office, anything to avoid going back to the empty house. Every night when I unlocked the door, the silence felt heavier. My dinners were microwaved leftovers. My bed felt cold, too big. And still, not a word from Emily. But then the whispers started. A mutual friend pulled me aside one day and asked, "Hey, what's going on between you and Emily? Her mom's been saying some things." My stomach dropped. "What kind of things?" He hesitated, clearly uncomfortable. "That you've been cheating. That you're not the man everyone thinks you are." The room spun. I gripped the edge of the table to steady myself. Linda wasn't just poisoning Emily. She was poisoning everyone. She was trying to destroy my reputation. And it was working. I noticed the looks, the forced smiles, the way people avoided asking about Emily. Every glance felt like a silent accusation. Cheater. I was furious. But more than that, I felt powerless. Then, one evening, Emily came by the house to pick up more of her things. I hadn't seen her in nearly a month. She walked in, cold and distant, like a stranger. "Emily," I said softly, "we need to talk. You've known me for 7 years. Do you really think I would throw that away for some stupid fling?" Her eyes flickered, just for a second. Doubt. But then she shook her head. "My mom says you're good at hiding things. She says men like you can't be trusted. Men like me." Something inside me snapped. "You know what the difference is between me and your mom, Emily? I love you. She loves control. And right now, you're too blind to see the difference." She froze, biting her lip, but didn't say a word. Instead, she grabbed the last of her boxes and left. That night, as I sat alone in the living room, the anger shifted. It wasn't just pain anymore. It was clarity. Linda had built this web of lies, but Emily was the one who chose to believe them. She was the one who walked out. And if she was so willing to trust her mother over me, then maybe she deserved to live with the consequences. I stopped answering her texts. When she sent vague messages like, "Hope you're doing okay," I ignored them. When mutual friends tried to defend her, I cut them off. For the first time in years, I stopped chasing. And that's when the idea came to me. I wasn't going to scream. I wasn't going to beg. I wasn't going to fight to prove my innocence. I was going to let the truth bury them both. But when it did, I'd make sure it buried them in the most humiliating way possible. The proof came when I least expected it. It was a Tuesday evening, a normal, boring night, when I got a message from a number I didn't recognize. At first, I almost ignored it, but the first line stopped me cold. "You don't know me, but you need to hear this. Linda lied to your wife about you." My hands shook as I typed back, "Who is this?" The reply came almost instantly. "My name's Hannah. I used to work with Linda. She bragged to me about setting you up. Said she convinced Emily you were cheating because she deserved better." I couldn't stomach it anymore. "You should know the truth." For a moment, I just stared at the screen, heat rising in my chest. Linda. That woman. She hadn't just twisted Emily's mind. She had actually fabricated lies, orchestrated everything, then bragged about it like it was a game. Hannah sent me screenshots, texts Linda had sent her, laughing about how gullible Emily was. Messages like, "She ate it all up. He's finished. And finally, she'll see he's trash." I did her a favor. My jaw clenched so tight it hurt. It was all there, in black and white. The betrayal, the manipulation, the proof. For weeks, I had been drowning, suffocating in the weight of lies. And suddenly, it felt like I could breathe again. I wasn't crazy. I wasn't guilty. I wasn't the villain. Linda was. And Emily? She had been her puppet. But here's the thing. Just knowing the truth wasn't enough. Not after everything I'd lost. My marriage, my reputation, my peace. No, if Linda wanted to ruin me, then I was going to make sure the world saw who she really was. The next morning, I forwarded everything to my lawyer. Screenshots, numbers, times, dates, every shred of evidence Hannah gave me. He called me back not even an hour later. "Do you realize what this means?" he asked, almost stunned. I swallowed. "That I wasn't lying?" "That," he said, "and we have grounds for defamation. If we play this right, Linda could face some serious consequences. Publicly." The thought sent a thrill through me. For weeks, people whispered behind my back, gave me side eyes, assumed the worst. But what if, instead of quietly clearing my name, I dragged Linda into the light? What if I let everyone see exactly what she had done? I imagined her face, smug and self-satisfied, twisting into panic as the truth spread. The thought alone nearly made me smile. But there was one more step. Emily. Part of me wanted to just send her the evidence and be done with it. To wipe my hands clean and let her deal with the fallout. But another part of me, the part that had endured the humiliation, the betrayal, the lonely nights, wanted her to see me, face to face. So I sent a text. "We need to meet. I have proof your mother lied." Her response came slower than I expected. "What do you mean?" "Meet me tomorrow, noon, at the park. You need to see this." She agreed. That night, I barely slept. Not from nerves, but from anticipation. For once, the cards weren't in Linda's hands. They were in mine. And when the sun rose, I knew one thing for certain. I wasn't just going to clear my name. I was going to burn theirs. The next day, I arrived at the park early. My hands were steady, my mind sharp, almost too calm for what was about to happen. For weeks, I had been the broken one, the one begging for answers. But not today. Today, the truth was on my side. I saw Emily approaching, her eyes guarded, her steps hesitant. She looked tired, worn down. Maybe from the constant poison her mother had been feeding her. Maybe from her own doubts. She sat down on the bench across from me, arms folded. "So, what's this about?" I didn't waste time. I pulled out my phone, opened the screenshots Hannah had sent me, and handed it to her. "Read." At first, she looked confused. Then her eyes began scanning the screen. I watched as her face shifted. Confusion, disbelief, and then horror. Her lips parted slightly, her hands trembling as she scrolled. "No," she whispered. "She wouldn't." But the words were right there, plain as day. Linda laughing about how gullible Emily was, bragging about setting me up, calling me trash and controlling. I leaned forward, my voice cold. "Still think your mom just had your best interests at heart?" Tears welled up in her eyes. I didn't know. I swear, I didn't know she—" "Of course you didn't know," I cut her off. "Because you didn't bother to ask. You didn't trust me enough to even give me a chance. Instead, you let her feed you lies, and you walked out on me without hesitation." Her breath hitched, her voice cracking. "I thought I was protecting myself. I thought she was protecting me." "Protecting you?" I laughed bitterly. "She destroyed us, and you let her." She buried her face in her hands, sobbing. "I'm so sorry. Please, maybe we can fix this. Maybe if we—" "No." My voice was sharp, final. "We can't fix this. Because the second she planted doubt, you believed her. You trusted her over me, and that says everything about our marriage." She lifted her head, desperate, her mascara streaking down her face. "Please, just give me one more chance. I'll cut her off. I'll do whatever it takes." I shook my head slowly. "It's too late. The damage is done. I don't want a wife who needs her mother's permission to believe in me." Her shoulders slumped as the fight drained out of her. For the first time she looked truly broken, not because of her mother's lies, but because she finally saw what those lies had cost her. I stood up, sliding my phone back into my pocket. "You should have trusted me, Emily. 7 years together, and you threw it away because your mother snapped her fingers. That's not love. That's weakness." I walked away without looking back. But that wasn't the end. My lawyer moved fast. Within weeks, the evidence against Linda was filed in a defamation case. When the papers were served, Linda exploded, screaming that I was out to ruin her. But it was her own words that ruined her, not me. And when the screenshots leaked, oh, the fallout was delicious. Mutual friends, who had once looked at me with suspicion, suddenly turned their anger on Linda. "You destroyed their marriage for fun?" one of them wrote online. "What kind of mother does that?" Her social circle turned cold. Even her own family distanced themselves. The woman who had spent years controlling everyone around her was suddenly alone. Her reputation shredded beyond repair. As for Emily, she tried reaching out a few more times. Apologies, long messages, late-night calls I never answered. Eventually, she stopped. Word got around that she moved back in with her parents, the same parents whose lies had cost her the one person who actually loved her. And me? I was free. For the first time in years, I felt like I could breathe. Months passed, and little by little, life started to feel normal again. No more second-guessing myself, no more whispers behind my back, no more walking into my own home wondering if I'd find my wife or my mother-in-law pulling the strings. The lawsuit dragged Linda through the mud. Every time she tried to spin the story, the receipts spoke louder. She ended up paying a settlement just to avoid more public humiliation, but by then, the damage was already done. Her so-called friends stopped answering her calls. People who once admired her now saw her for what she truly was. A manipulative liar who destroyed her own daughter's marriage out of control and spite. Emily? Well, she never recovered from it. Word spread quickly. Friends turned cold. Family members shook their heads at her, and her mother's poison was no longer a shield. It was a curse. The last I heard, she was still living with Linda, the same woman who wrecked her life. Poetic, isn't it? the two of them, trapped together, suffocating in the very web of lies they spun. As for me, I moved on. Not overnight, not without scars, but stronger. I built a new life, surrounded myself with people who actually cared, people who didn't need to be convinced to trust me. And the best part? I no longer carried the weight of proving my worth to someone who never deserved me in the first place. Sometimes I think back on it all, the lies, the heartbreak, the endless nights staring at the ceiling, wondering if I was going crazy. And then I remember Linda's smug little smirk, Emily's blind faith in her, and how it all came crashing down when the truth hit them like a freight train. That's the thing about karma. It doesn't always come fast. But when it does, it's devastating. So if you've ever been betrayed, manipulated, or made to feel like you were the problem when you weren't, remember this. The truth has a way of coming out. And when it does, the ones who doubted you will regret every second of it. If this story gave you chills, smash that like button and tell me in the comments, what's the most satisfying revenge you've ever seen? And of course, don't forget to subscribe for more stories just like this one, because trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next.